Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
Small businesses are subjected to complex policies from all levels of government, local, state and federal. So how is it possible to appeal to those layers of pollies and public servants to take small business interests to heart? From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Nalder is the CEO of the Small Business Association of Australia, which recently drafted a new 10-point small business charter that's being handed around to decision makers. The charter is a set of guidelines for lawmakers and leaders to follow when formulating policy. Anne Nalder begins by explaining to Jeff Waters why the charter was created.
We need to have serious reform in this country regarding small business. And this is a need that I found quite some time ago because I've been in business prior to setting up the Small Business Association of Australia. And I found that there was no real voice, even though we've got lots of organisations. You will find, especially today, that they represent what I term the bigger end of small business rather than small business. And we've got three sizes. That's micro, small and medium. And the businesses that are in the junior stages, micro, which makes up the bulk of Australian small businesses, they don't have a real voice and they need all the assistance they can get when setting up their business and operating, and we need to get them over the first 5 years of that particular hurdle. So I found that there was really virtually no voice. I also found out that governments really do not understand the need of a small business and what it requires. And also, governments tend to, it's one cap fits all when it comes to compliance issues and a whole range of things. You've got two areas, for example, industrial relations and the taxation system. There is not one person in this country that will tell you that that taxation or industrial relations is suitable for a small business. They are suitable and they have been designed for big business. And that is what small business is competing against, and that doesn't work. So we have to look at something that is going to work, because if you look after small business, it is, as people keep saying, the engine of the economy, but we've got to look after them not by handouts, but by good laws, good compliance, a whole range of things that will allow them to flourish, to thrive and to grow, and importantly in today's environment, compete in a global economy. We can't do that at the moment. Australia ranks 14th in the world of ease of doing business, and it's an international formula. It is an official formula which recognises countries around the world as to where they stand of ease of doing business, and that takes in regulatory and other burdens imposed on small business. So we should be in the top 5 and we're not. We're in 14th position. So having said all of that, we looked at, with my committee and myself, we thought, okay, do we continue the way we have continued for quite some time, and basically it's band-aid solutions, which doesn't solve anything. You know, every election or every budget, small business might get a bit of a nip and a tuck here and so forth. That's not working. You've got to get to the root of the problem and fix it. And once you fix that, you can move ahead. This is not being anti-big business or anything at all like that, but we need to take a serious look at small business. So we came up and drafted the Small Business Charter of Australia. It's not a policy document, but it is a framework. It's geared for policy makers and governments. And one of the principles it has in it is the think small business first. That's in the early stages of when you're creating or formulating policy. In other words, how will this policy affect a small business? See, currently this doesn't take place. Governments come out with all these schemes and things, but they don't really understand of what's going on, and that is the problem. So the charter, we drafted the charter, it has 10 pillars, and it covers a range of things, all applicable to business of any size, as a matter of fact, but this is to do with small business. And we have this before governments and opposition party and also some of the minor parties, because we need to get their support in this document. It is not a political document. It is suitable for anybody. That's whether it's local, state or federal governments. It's better policy at the end of the day, and we need to change that.
What sort of reaction have you had from governments about it?
It's actually positive because it's a good thing. Look, I tell you where you have to get the support, not only governments or current governments or whoever's there at the moment, but you have to get support from the public service, because the advisors, etc., the public service who are in these respective departments, if they don't understand what this is about or whatever you're trying to present to them, they don't understand or they don't like that idea, you won't get past first base. But when you explain to people as to what it's about, they get very interested. And I don't really blame the public service so much, because if you haven't been in small business, and for a very lengthy time I must add, how do you know what is required? You don't understand it. You think, what's all the fuss about? So the charter is stage one of a wider program. We're not announcing stage two because that will only come about once stage one is implemented. And we are very confident it will be adopted. All parts of the charter may not be necessarily adopted. We don't expect it to. And we don't expect governments to take everything into consideration. But if we can start taking small steps at a time, I think we're going to go a very, very long way. And it's going to be beneficial at the end of the day for a small business owner.
So what sort of things is it asking for?
Well, the 10 pillars, you've got entrepreneurship, which is adapt government policy that has to recognise the necessity to support innovation and enhancing the value of small business entrepreneurship. You've got industrial relations, ensure small business needs are fairly represented in IR matters and associated policy making. Currently this does not apply, and you will get the most ardent critics will agree with that as well. Technology, facilitate access to the best information, research and technologies. Small business owners, if I may quickly add, whilst we consider ourselves to be very, very savvy in this country regarding technology, it's still a very, very weak link in the process. A lot of business owners are a little reluctant. They're not as focused, just like globally with exporting, they're not as focused on that, believe it or not, as they should be. But there are reasons for that as well, because they might have had their fingers burnt through buying technology that doesn't suit their business, it's been too expensive, and a whole range of factors. Then you have areas of technology where the internet keeps dropping out. This is even in Australia. So it's no use trying to convince a business owner about technology. So you've got to fix a few of these problems.
You've given us a bit of a taste there of what is in the charter. Perhaps rather than listing all 10 points, we could tell the audience where they can find it.
Well, we've got part of it on our website, which is, if you go to Small Business Association, all one word, .com.au, part of it is in there. We don't have the actual document in full up there, but there is sufficient information to whet the appetite and to understand what's going on.
That was Anne Nalder, CEO of the Small Business Association of Australia. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.